Last year, I reviewed Nosferatu: A Symphony of Horror from 1922, one of the earliest horror movies and one of the first vampire movies. Well, there is one movie older than Nosferatu that is generally recognized as the first true horror movie. The place is still Germany, the year is now 1920, and this is The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The film was written by Karl Mayer and Hans Janowitz, who were pacifists that met following World War I. Mayer actually feigned madness to avoid serving, and was subjected to intense observation by a military psychiatrist, which inspired the character of Dr. Caligari. They based the rest of the film on the experiences they had after meeting. Jane was based on a girl Mayer loved, the fair was based on a circus act they saw, and when Mayer's love died after a prediction by a fortune teller, he envisioned the scene where Caesar predicts Alan's death. That's most of the background I can give on the film, so let's get into the plot. The film begins with the character Francis recalling the horrible events he and his fiancée suffered. Most of the film is presented as Francis's flashback. We then cut to the strange Dr. Caligari, who is trying to get a permit at the fair for his freak show. The clerk is a jerk and yells at Caligari, but eventually gives him the permit. The next morning, the clerk is found dead. Francis and his friend Alan arrive at the fair and see Dr. Caligari persuading a crowd of people to see his show. Upon entering his tent, Caligari tells the audience about the man inside his cabinet, Caesar, the somnambulist, a man who has continuously slept for 23 years and only awakens at the command of Dr. Caligari. He also says that Caesar has seen the past and can predict the future. Alan asks Caesar how long he will live, and he tells him that he will live until the dawn of the next day. Sure enough, Alan is found murdered the next morning, and Francis gets the police to question Caligari and examine Caesar. However, a man is caught in a murder attempt, and suspicion is diverted away from Caligari. Later, Caesar is caught trying to kidnap Jane, while Francis follows Caligari to an insane asylum. Francis then discovers that Caligari is the director of the asylum and became obsessed with another man named Caligari that used the somnambulist to commit murders across Italy. Francis, the asylum staff, and the police confront Caligari and reveal that Caesar died after running away from the police. Enraged, Caligari attacks one of the staff only to be contained in a straitjacket and locked away. We cut back to the present, and Francis is led back to the asylum where he appears to be an inmate. Jane is also an inmate who believes she is a queen, and Caesar is alive and well, but not trying to kill anyone. Francis then notices the director and attacks him thinking he's Caligari, leading to the director knowing just how to cure him. The end. So, what do I think of the movie? It's good. Not great, but pretty good. Okay, why don't I think it's a masterpiece like everyone else? Well, let's start with the plot. Is it a bad plot? No, but there's not a lot here. People are murdered, they think it's Caligari. It is. Throw in a twist, and it ends. I know it's only an hour and 15 minutes long, but that's it? No complex or deep motives for Caligari, no reputation of Caligari's murders. On top of that, the characters are not as enjoyable, with the exception of Caligari and Caesar. To compare it to other silent films I've reviewed, Francis and Jane are not as memorable as Hutter and Knock in Nosferatu, or Danny and Johnny in The Ten Commandments. Now, I do like parts of this movie, so let's talk about that. First, the sets are amazing. Since the story is told from an insane man's perspective, everything has been distorted in this world. Houses are at strange angles, shadows are painted on walls, and doors and windows are everything but rectangles. But what really makes this movie good is Dr. Caligari and Caesar. These two are putting everything into their performances. Caligari always seems like he's soaking up the evil. He knows what he's doing is wrong, and he loves it. If you were looking for the overactor in the film, it's definitely the Mad Doctor. Caesar is a bit of a different story. He doesn't really overact, but he's genuinely creepy. The way he walks, the way he talks, despite having only one line and no sound. Even the way he eats is unsettling and creepy. Going back to a bit of criticism, I was kind of expecting more from this movie since it was called the first true horror movie, and I was a bit disappointed. Again, it's not bad, but not great. One scene that perfectly captures horror, though, is the scene where Caesar kidnaps Jane. We get this long shot of him walking towards her, and it's pretty scary. Plus, Caesar's design is interesting. His eyes, his hair, his clothes. You can't tell me he didn't inspire Edward Scissorhands. Hell, the whole movie probably inspired a lot of people like Tim Burton. And that's what I see this as. A good movie that inspired generations. But is it a masterpiece? To me, no, but to you, maybe. And if you think that, more power to you. I'm sure I'll watch this movie again in the future, and I'll know that I'm watching a good classic. If you want to watch Caligari and all its German expressionist goodness, there's a link in the description and an end card at the end of this video. Stay tuned to the channel because next week we'll cover one of the last silent horror films, 1925's The Phantom of the Opera. I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films. See you guys then.